The Highland air was crisp and cold that morning, sweeping across the glen like an invisible hand. In the small cottage where Chrissie Heughan had raised her only son, the smell of peat smoke and old books mingled with the sharp scent of winter. She stood at the window, hands wrapped around a chipped mug of tea, watching the mist curl over the hills Sam had once climbed as a boy. The phone on the table buzzed again. Another journalist, another request for a statement she wasn't ready to give. But the time for silence was over. For weeks, rumors had swirled about Sam Heughan. He had vanished from social media, cancelled appearances, and left fans wondering. Chrissie had tried to shield him, tried to keep the world at bay the way she had when he was a shy, lanky teenager with dreams too big for their village. But the questions had grown louder, and Sam had grown weaker. And now, a mother's voice would be the one to break the news. She set the mug down, smoothing her apron as if that could still her trembling. She remembered his first play at school, the way he'd run into her arms afterwards, cheeks flushed with pride. She remembered every rejection letter, every small victory, every night he'd called from some far-off set just to hear her voice. He was still that boy to her, the boy with stars in his eyes and stubbornness in his jawline. And now, as she prepared to speak publicly about his health, she felt the weight of the world pressing in. Chrissie's mind drifted back to the early days. Sam had always been resilient. When his father left, it was Sam who helped her patch the roof, Sam who stacked the firewood. "We're a team," he'd said, his small hand gripping hers. Later, when he won a place at drama school, she'd sold a piece of jewelry to help him pay the train fare. "One day I'll make it up to you," he'd promised. And he had, in ways she couldn't have imagined. Red carpets, magazine covers, fans from New York to Tokyo. But behind the glamour, she'd always seen the boy who needed a mother's hug more than a manager's handshake. The boy who still came home to the Highlands to sit at the kitchen table and eat her soup. Now, as she watched him sleep in the next room, she wondered if she had done enough. When the phone rang again, Chrissie answered. Her voice was steady but soft. "This is Chrissie Heughan," she said. "Mrs. Heughan, the fans are very concerned," the journalist said gently. "Can you tell us what's happening with Sam?" Chrissie closed her eyes, picturing Sam's pale face on the pillow, the IV line, the quiet hum of the monitor. He's fighting something," she said finally. "And he's stronger than people know. But it's time for me to ask for kindness, not speculation." Her words traveled fast. Within hours, headlines blazed. Chrissie Heughan speaks out. Sam Heughan's health battle revealed. Social media filled with messages of support, candles, prayers. Chrissie sat back in her chair, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. She hadn't wanted this, the spotlight, the pity, but she wanted Sam to know he wasn't alone. The cottage was quiet except for the soft ticking of the clock above the hearth. In the next room, Sam slept, his chest rising and falling beneath a wool blanket their neighbor had knitted for him when he was a boy. Chrissie crept to the doorway, leaning against the frame. Even in sleep, his face looked drawn, paler than she had ever seen it. The man who had faced stormy sets and exhausting tours now looked as fragile as glass. She remembered when he'd broken his arm at 12, falling from a tree in the back garden. He had cried only once, then gritted his teeth as the doctor set the bone. "I'll be back up there tomorrow," he had boasted. That same stubborn streak had carried him through every audition, every rejection, every long day on set. Seeing him weaken now felt like seeing the sun go out. "Stay strong, my boy," she whispered, though he couldn't hear her. By morning, Chrissie's statement had spread across the internet. Fan clubs in Brazil, Japan, the United States posted photos and heartfelt messages. Someone in New Zealand organized a candlelight vigil. A group of fans in Edinburgh tied ribbons to the gates of the hospital rumored to be treating Sam. Chrissie scrolled through the messages on her phone. "We're praying for Sam. Stay strong, Chrissie. You raised an amazing man." Her eyes blurred. She'd always known Sam had fans, but she'd never understood the depth of their affection. It was as if the entire world had become one big family, surrounding them with light. She showed Sam the messages when he woke. He managed a faint smile. "Tell them thank you," he murmured. "Tell them, I'll be back." That night, unable to sleep, Chrissie sat at the kitchen table, flipping through an old photo album. There was Sam at 5, grinning with a missing tooth. Sam at 16, clutching a second-hand guitar. Sam at 21, standing on the platform of Waverley Station with a duffel bag, leaving for drama school. She touched the photographs as if she could reach through time and hold him again. The phone buzzed. It was an email from Sam's first acting teacher, offering to come visit. Then another from a charity he'd supported, saying they'd launch a fundraiser in his name. Chrissie felt a lump rise in her throat. Her boy had built a life of kindness and connection, and now it was coming back to him. The following morning, Chrissie helped Sam sit up in bed. His hands trembled as he held a pen. "I want to write something," he said. "Are you sure you're strong enough?" she asked. "I need to do this," he replied. Together they drafted a letter. It was simple, heartfelt. "Dear friends, I've been quiet because I needed time to heal. Your messages have been a lifeline. I'm not at the finish line yet, but with your support, and with my mum by my side, I know I'll get there. Thank you for believing in me. With love, Sam." Chrissie took a photo of the letter and posted it online. Within minutes, it went viral. It was early spring when the first signs of change appeared. The snow had melted from the hills, and small shoots of green pushed through the soil outside the cottage. Inside, Sam's color was returning. He could sit up for longer, even walk from the bedroom to the kitchen without losing his breath. Chrissie noticed the way his eyes began to brighten again, like a candle relit. One morning, as she set a tray of porridge and tea on his lap, he caught her hand. "You've been my anchor through all this," he said softly. She squeezed his fingers. "And you've always been mine, Sam. Since the day you were born." They sat together in silence, the kind of silence only family can share. No need for words, only presence. Word of Sam's letter had reached colleagues, old friends, and even strangers. Offers to visit poured in. Chrissie turned most of them down to give him space, but one day a knock came at the door from his first acting teacher, Mr. Calder. Sam's eyes widened when he saw him. "You taught me to believe in myself," Sam said, his voice breaking. "And you made me proud, lad," Mr. Calder replied, pulling him into a gentle hug. Chrissie watched from the kitchen, tears slipping down her cheeks. Seeing Sam surrounded by people who loved him gave her a hope she hadn't dared to feel for weeks. That evening, Sam asked her to sit with him by the fire. He had brought down an old scrapbook from the attic, reviews from his early plays, postcards from cities he had filmed in, ticket stubs from shows they had seen together. They turned the pages slowly. "I used to think my career defined me," he said quietly. "The roles, the awards. But lying here, I realized the only thing that really matters is this. You, family, the people who don't disappear when the lights go out." Chrissie reached up and brushed his hair from his forehead. "You've given so much to the world, Sam. Let the world give back to you now." The next day, newspapers printed Sam's letter alongside photos of fans holding vigils. The headlines were softer now: "A mother's love, Chrissie Heughan speaks out, fans rally around Sam Heughan." Donations poured into a medical charity Sam had quietly supported for years. Chrissie read message after message aloud to him, her voice thick with emotion. "They're with you, Sam," she said. "All of them." He smiled faintly. "Then I'll fight harder." Weeks passed. The days grew longer, and so did Sam's walks. He ventured out into the garden, leaning on Chrissie's arm. They watched the lambs in the fields, the clouds drifting across the blue sky. "I feel like I'm coming back to life," he whispered. "You are," she said, "step by step." That evening, she wrote in her journal, "I don't know what the future holds. But today we laughed again."